Now we will discuss a universal 4-phase reading program. As far as reading programs are concerned, there has been consensus that this activity should be, researchers believe that reading should be made an enjoyable activity for children to develop reading skills. They believe that intellectually stimulated children will be more willing to apply their cognitive skills in the interpretation of the text, and they will make more efforts as far as the scanning and skimming and all extensive and intensive reading skills are concerned. Now, based on that, we have seen that a universal 4-phase reading program was introduced by Steinberg in 1980, and then we also see that in 1982. Now, the program embodies the underlying 4 phases. So, he basically proposed 4 phases for developing reading comprehension, and each phase involves meaningful language. And they are ordered in such a manner that the preceding phase is the prerequisite for the succeeding one. So, the preceding phase, it acts as or serves as a prerequisite for the succeeding one. So, we have all these 4 phases. They are interrelated, they are connected, but the preceding phase, it serves as a prerequisite for the succeeding one. So, let's discuss all these 4 phases and how they contribute in the development of the reading skills. The first phase is word familiarization. The purpose of this phase is to acquaint children with the shapes of written words and to have them become aware that different spoken words of the language have different written manifestation. For instructional purposes, one should attach word cards to objects around the room, for example, chair, television, wall, flower, and table. The words should be ones that the child understands when spoken by the parent or teacher. Such cards are placed at the child's eye level wherever possible. Simply the exposure of such cards in the course of the day will, even without instruction, serve to promote learning. Second phase is word identification. Now, in this phase, the child learns which particular written words are associated with which particular spoken words or object. The difference between this phase and the preceding one is that this one requires the use of long-term memory. Here, the child must store a particular visual configuration and remember what particular spoken word it represents. For example, when seeing the written word apple in isolation, the child is expected to be able to point to the object apple or its picture or to say apple. The third phase is phrase and sentence identification. Now, this phase is similar to that of the preceding word identification one. So, therefore, the idea is that the preceding serves as the prerequisite. Now, it is similar to the word identification except that larger linguistic units are dealt with. Its goal is for the child to read the largest basic linguistic units, which is the sentence. Now, in teaching phrases and sentences, it is not necessary that phrase teaching precedes sentence teaching. For example, the phrase and sentence should include all words without any simplification. For example, if a sentence, the dog is barking at the boy, is the appropriate sentence, it should not be changed to dog bark boy. So there is no such thing as preceding of sentences or phrases in this phrase and sentence identification. The fourth stage is paragraph stories and book reading. The paragraph involves the largest meaningful written linguistic unit. It consists of sequence of 2 or more sentences. A sequence of paragraphs can make story. Learning to read paragraphs and books is probably the most interesting of all reading activities for children, since there is an excitement that a story can generate that the reading isolated words, phrases, and sentences cannot do that. To conclude, Universal 4 reading program embodies the underlying principles and include the following phases: word familiarization, word identification, phrase and sentences identification, and paragraph stories and book reading.